Day 2 of the Ocean to Lake Trail. I am leaving the Loop 4 campground in Dupuis management area, so closer to the lakeside, Lake Okeechobee, and heading towards, I won't be getting anywhere close today, heading towards the Atlantic Ocean and the end of the trail. So everything is damp right now. If it wasn't damp from my sweat yesterday or walking through some soggy trail, it's damp from the dew. So I think that's going to be like that for the rest of the trip. And I think I had an alligator roll by my campsite last night. It was doing those kind of deep drum bellow sounds, and every once in a while a large exhale. So as we knew, alligators are here. It was just a little loud and surprising yesterday. So headed away from my campsite. Can already tell it's going to be a hot day. It's kind of on the cool side of hot. So we'll see how the day goes. Should be a wet day. I think I'm going to be going through some cypress swamps, but hopefully I'll have some dry trail otherwise. Alright, already came to a junction, crossed a little stream there, and came to 4 signs and several different blazes. So there's a white blaze over here. There's a tree, blaze on a tree that I think is supposed to be indicating turns. That's what double blazes do. This one's a little confusing because almost looks like you go straight. But this sign has the boundary, which is where I'm headed, and apparently an updated mileage sign of 5.8 miles. So headed towards Corbett and following the orange blazes, which should be the correct trail. So not is this only a beautiful morning scene in Florida, the sun pretty low in the sky and the pines and all the green vegetation, but this is also an example of why I kind of didn't want to hike this area in the night. The trail is not obvious here. I'm actually having trouble spotting the next orange blaze. So there is an orange blaze over here, and I have not spotted the next one, and there's no clear obvious path. Now during the day I can just scan and walk around a little bit and be able to find the next blaze. At night it's a little different. So I'm going to back up to where I saw this last blaze and see if I can work my way out from there. Spotted it. It's way over here. So usually, I don't know, sometimes people indicate this as a turn. The single blaze is straight, double blaze is a turn. Top one kind of shows the direction you're going. I would have called this a turn, or had a turn on a blaze right there. And then this blaze is kind of hidden on the other side of this palmetto here. So it'll be visible in a second. There it is. So not too big of a deal during the day, as long as you don't panic. It's just, again, at night, a little difficult. And it's a nice little clearing right there with the sun. This is straight up bushwhacking at this point. Part of the problem is a lot of the trail kind of looks like this, where it's kind of been dug up, I'm assuming by hogs. So it's been overgrown and dug up. So right now I can obviously see those blazes, but I have definitely been kind of bushwhacking my way through here, because I'll go what looks like a trail and it's not. It's just been dug up by pigs, and then have to find what actual line I need to walk. So a little bit difficult today, a little bit difficult in this section. It was great up until that campsite from yesterday, and it's just part of the adventure. And it's hot, and good thing I'm not really planning to go too far today. Not doing like a 20-mile day, so I can take my time and just work my way through. Oh, here's one. Okay, I've got to turn. Alright, I see the next blaze. But that's kind of just how the hike's been going so far, is bushwhacking and constantly looking for these blazes. It is wet now. You can see the trail, but it's wet. This, originally I thought was supposed to be a buggy road. Swamp buggies are basically an all-terrain vehicle that can go through water, can go through the swamp. This is supposed to be the sand road. The sand is underneath the water, so it may be wet, maybe the majority of the rest of the day. At least it'll keep me slightly cooler, because it is really hot right now. Just emerged from the water to find this sign for a campsite. So that's supposed to be the Powerline campsite. I see power lines up there. So I think this campsite has picnic tables, and based on how deep this canal is, probably alligators. Oh, here are the tables. So there aren't a lot of places to sit down, especially when you're wading through water. So I'm going to take a little bit of a break here and then empty out my shoes. And then hopefully there's a bridge to cross that canal. Alright, there wasn't a sign for it that I saw, but that gate back there, the canal is right after that gate. So there's the gate and the power lines, and that gate is the border between the Dupuis management area and the Corbett management area. So I have crossed over into a new management area. If I was looking at their websites correctly, their gun hunt season starts a day after the other one, so I was trying to get through these little management areas before general gun season starts. But dry right now. I know there's some cypress strands coming up, so expect to be back in the water pretty quickly. So definitely in the cypresses now. So not only do you have the ferns and the bromeliads, but you have the actual cypress trees. These weird looking trees coming out of the water here. They have they're adapted to live in water. So they've got a root system. Oh, here's one. So root systems poke out of the water, so they're not completely under the water. And those are called cypress knees, and a lot of times you will trip over them, so they're kind of annoying. So there's leaf litter down here, and you can't always see what's underneath there, so it's a little uneven and sometimes you'll trip. But the water's clear, the water's cool, and this is a cypress stand. So the trail has moved out of that cool cypress area and now into some more, I guess, pines, mainly. Pines every once in a while, but you can hear from the splash, splash, splash. Still walking through water. And it is more difficult to walk through water. It makes you more tired, but it's still early in the hiking season and it's still kind of hot. So it's actually kind of been a form of temperature control. Towards the end of the day, I might just be thoroughly exhausted, but it's been kind of fun so far, especially when you get into those little patches of cypress, and I should have a couple more of those coming up. Alright, after a lot of waiting, and when I wasn't waiting, I was in the heat, I have reached Little Gopher campsite. It's another campsite along the Ocean to Lake Trail, and I can see some benches back there, so I'm going to take advantage of the benches, have a seat, empty out the mud that's in my shoes, and press on. Last couple miles since the campground have actually been pretty dry. I know that's going to change because I have a large section labeled wet prairie coming up. So I gotta enjoy the dry parts while I can. I'm sure my socks will dry out just in time for me to get them wet again. But this is pretty cool. This is where the trees have gotten much thicker. You can see these side roads. There's tons of buggy roads around here. Sometimes it looks like people are creating their own buggy roads, and it makes it a little difficult to follow the trail because there's tracks everywhere. But a lot of pines. Those really skinny pines in here. Makes for kind of a cool scene to walk through. Yep, and right back in it. And again, it's more difficult to walk through. Got my feet splashing there, but it is a little bit cooler, so it does help alleviate some of that heat from the sun in those dry sections. So a little under 3 miles to go to the campsite I'm doing tonight, which is Bowman Island, and it will be wet because it is legit like a little island, probably within this wet prairie system. So you gotta cross the water to get up to the island. The island itself should be dry. And back in the cypress strand. I believe this is a place called Hole in the Wall, and it's got a name because it does hold water all year round. So this actually reminds me of a big cypress at the beginning of the main part of the Florida Trail, because yeah, you do have to look for these blazes, because otherwise, there's the other one. Otherwise you could get lost, but it's pretty cool. That's my second snake of the day. The other one didn't look like this. This one's bright green. The other one was kind of more of a dark snaky color and just kind of went off before I could get a picture or a video. This one's pretty. Nice and green. But he's also right on the trail and I cannot step around him, so I'm sorry, little guy. I am gonna have to scare you. Wow, he's totally out of it. Alright, well, never mind. He didn't care. Alright, I'm really close to the campsite, like 0.1 mile or something like that. Should be getting there pretty soon. And here I am. This should be the Bowman Island campsite. Yes. So if you want to go to the youth camp, it's still 6 miles. Oh wow, it's been 6 miles since Gopher. Okay, looks like I'm going to do a little bit of bushwhacking to get there. So I will turn this off and concentrate on getting to the right place. This may be one of the craziest campsites I have ever purposely gone to. It's also kind of cool though. The trail's way back there. You can see a blue blaze. The blue blaze leads to the campsite. And this is a lot of water, kind of over mid-shin deep right now. And it's really hard to see because the sun is kind of low. Oh, but I see another blue blaze over here. So it's literally an island in the middle of all this. It's kind of fun. So I've got my tent set up behind me, mostly set up. I'm actually going to do the actual setting up from inside the mesh where the mosquitoes are not. And that's it for today. Tomorrow I'm going to be exiting Corbett WMA, and then I'm going to be entering Hungryland Slough and then camping in Loxahatchee Slough.